So imagine, just for a second, that you are sitting on the edge of a bed.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Right. And it's this small, incredibly sweltering house in 1950s Louisiana.
Ooh, that deep, heavy summer heat.
Exactly. The air is just thick with the smell of boiling mason jars and snap peas.
Yeah, that real vivid sensory kind of setting.
But sitting beside you is a ghost.
A ghost.
Well, no, not a literal ghost in a white sheet. I mean,
Right.
the heavy, inescapable presence of someone who is just, well, fundamentally missing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that kind of absence takes up a lot of room.
It really does. And that heavy absence is actually the beating heart of Tayari Jones's highly anticipated February 2026 release, which is a novel called Kin.
Such a powerful title, too.
It is. And today, we are unpacking a massive stack of sources for this deep dive. We have an excerpt from the opening chapter. We've got professional critiques from readers with wrinkles and the Princeton Book Review.
Plus the Amazon editorial notes, right?
Right. And thousands of deeply passionate reader reviews from Goodreads. We are digging into this not just to review a New York Times bestseller and an Oprah Book Club pick, but to really understand this profound question the book poses.
Which is, how do you survive when the person who is supposed to love you the most is entirely missing?
Exactly. So we're going to explore the mechanics of chosen family in the Jim Crow South and examine why, some readers are fiercely debating the author's plot choices.
There is definitely a lot of debate on this one.
Oh, for sure. Okay, let's unpack this, because to understand where these characters end up, you really have to understand the specific, traumatizing soil they grew from.
The setting is just crucial here. We are placed in Honeysuckle, Louisiana, alongside two young girls named Vernice, who actually goes by Niecy and Annie.
Right, the sources refer to them as cradle friends.
Yeah, cradle friends. I mean, this means they were born practically side by side.
Sharing a physical cradle.
Literally sharing a cradle. Bonding before they possessed the cognitive ability to even form words. But the architecture of their childhood is built on this shared, profound void.
Because they're both motherless.
Yes, though in entirely different ways.
The way Jones introduces this void is just striking. I mean, we have this gripping excerpt from the opening chapter.
It sets the tone perfectly.
It really does. So it's August, it's canning season, and the kitchen is Louisiana hot.
Stifling.
Exactly. Women are putting away pole beans, the radio is playing the Ward Sisters through thick static, and Vernice is 2.5 years old.
And the detail here is fascinating because Vernice has never spoken a single word.
Right. The community is actually starting to whisper that maybe she's slow or somehow touched by something supernatural.
People are definitely talking.
So her Aunt Irene is using a rat tail comb, making precise parts in the toddler's hair, and suddenly, Vernice just opens her mouth and says her very first word, shouted clear as a bell.
Mother.
Mother. Just like that.
What's fascinating here is that single word stops the breath of every woman in that kitchen.
I can imagine.
And it serves as the psychological anchor for the entire novel. The chilling nature of that scene stems from the horrific backstory of Vernice's biological mother, Arletha.
Right, the violence of it.
Yes. When Vernice was just 6 months old, her father murdered Arletha and then took his own life.
Just absolutely tragic.
And the Irene doing her hair in that scene, Arletha's sister, was the person who actually found the body.
Man, that brings a completely different layer to Irene. According to the character breakdowns in our sources, Irene had fled Honeysuckle years prior to escape their own abusive father.
She got pretty far away, too.
She made it all the way up to Dayton, Ohio. She built a free life. She had a man named Van, but she came back down south just to make peace with her dying mother.
Only to get caught in this horrific situation.
Right. Before she can leave, tragedy strikes, her sister is murdered, and Irene is suddenly handed a traumatized 6-month-old baby.
And Irene is explicitly described as not being the maternal type.
Not at all. I mean,
Yeah.
She enjoys wearing a red dress, dipping into a local joint called The Den, and having a drink.
Yet she fiercely protects Vernice.
She steps up.
She does. But that sacrifice isn't just about geography. Irene is giving up an entirely different version of womanhood, an independent, northern, unburdened life just to raise a child anchored in the trauma of the Deep South.
It's a massive sacrifice.
It is. And running parallel to Vernice is Annie. Annie's mother wound is equally deep, but the mechanism of it is different.
Right, because Annie wasn't orphaned by violence.
No, she was abandoned. Her mother, Hattie Lee, simply walked away one day and never looked back.
Just left.
Just left her with a strict, weary grandmother who provides shelter but very little warmth.
It's like planting 2 saplings in the exact same poison soil.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Thanks. I mean, they're both growing up in the Jim Crow South in the 1950s, dealing with systemic racism and poverty, and reacting to the exact same poison of a missing mother.
The exact same starting line.
Yeah. But one tries to survive by growing perfectly straight, trying to hide its rotting roots, while the other just embraces the rot and twists into a thorny bush. They just bend in completely opposite directions to find the sun.
That captures the psychological trajectory perfectly. Tayari Jones is establishing what clinicians actually call the mother wound.
The mother wound.
Yes. The novel isn't merely exploring the physical reality of missing a parent, it's examining how the ghost of an absent mother becomes the central compass by which these girls navigate the world.
Everything they do revolves around it.
Every subsequent life choice is a reaction to that void. They are either trying to artificially fill it, outrun it, or compensate for it. And that compulsion completely dictates how they transition into adulthood.
Let's follow those divergent paths then. Because as they come of age and live honeysuckle, Vernice takes the path of the good girl.
She does everything she's supposed to do.
Right. Her Aunt Irene scrapes and saves, even passing the collection plate at church, just to send Vernice to Spelman College in Atlanta.
Which is a huge deal.
A massive deal. So Vernice enters this polished world. She brushes shoulders with civil rights activists. She learns the manners and aspirations of the affluent black bourgeoisie, and eventually she marries into a wealthy family.
Vernice internalizes the belief that respectability will save her.
Like, if I look perfect, I won't hurt anymore.
Exactly. She achieves the dream that Aunt Irene sacrificed everything for. But the internal tragedy of Vernice's storyline is that she remains fundamentally haunted.
It didn't fix the wound.
No. The sources highlight her realization that no prestigious college degree, no affluent marriage, and no amount of social respectability can actually stitch up a psychological wound that deep.
It's just a Band-Aid. And then, well, then we look at Annie.
Annie is a whole different story.
The Princeton Book Review describes Annie as chaos and longing in a floral dress.
Such a great line.
So evocative. Right before their high school prom, Annie gets a hint of an address where her missing mother might be, and she just runs away to Memphis.
Leaves it all behind.
Her journey is gritty. She ends up in dangerous spaces, working in bars, living in a brothel, facing an unplanned pregnancy and an abortion. She lives on the absolute edge of society.
The contrast is just stark. I mean, you have one woman in the refined halls of Spelman and the other in the gritty underbelly of Memphis.
Different worlds entirely.
And the primary mechanism keeping them tethered to each other is the letters they write across state lines.
The letters.
Yeah, the epistolary element of this novel acts as a psychological bridge between two completely different Americas, allowing them to sort of curate their pain for an audience of one.
You know, I have to admit, I struggle with this framing a bit.
Oh, how so?
Well, we're looking at sources that seem to praise Annie for rejecting the rules, but she ends up in a brothel, facing extreme danger, trauma, and poverty.
Right.
It feels a bit romanticized by the reviewers, to suggest this chaotic path is somehow a triumph over Vernice's pursuit of a college education and stability.
Yeah.
Am I missing something in how the book presents this? Like, is Jones actually arguing that Annie's past is better?
That is a brilliant question. And you're hitting on the exact discomfort Jones wants the reader to feel.
Okay, so it's intentional.
Very much so. It's not that Annie's path is better or even less traumatizing. To understand the framing, we really have to look at the mechanics of respectability politics for Black women in the mid-century South.
The survival rules.
Yes. There were incredibly strict, unspoken rules for survival. To navigate affluent white society and the Black bourgeoisie, a woman had to be strong, but not loud.
Right.
Brilliant, but never threatening. Grateful, but never demanding.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. Vernice attempts to survive by internalizing this intense policing. She essentially suffocates her own authentic feelings to play a role.
So the stability comes at the cost of her internal freedom.
Precisely. Annie, on the other hand, survives by entirely rejecting those rules. She steps completely outside the boundaries of respectability.
But she pays a heavy price for it.
She does. In doing so, yes, she encounters severe physical danger and hardship, but she frees herself from the suffocating psychological expectations that are quietly crushing Vernice.
I see.
So the novel doesn't romanticize Annie's trauma. Rather, it questions the assumption that Vernice's gilded cage is inherently a victory just because it looks better from the outside.
Wow, okay, so neither following the rules nor breaking them actually heals these girls.
No, the wound is still there for both of them.
Which begs the question, if society and their own choices can't save them, who can? And that introduces the entire premise of Jones's supporting cast.
The chosen family.
Right. In both of these divergent paths, the girls are desperately looking for mothers. This is where the title of the book, Kin, really crystallizes.
And the reviewers universally highlight this supporting cast. In Atlanta, Vernice meets Mrs. McHenry.
The mentor figure.
Exactly. She's a refined mentor who climbed her way up from poverty to influence, and she tries to guide Vernice through the labyrinth of high society.
And then Annie has a mentor too, right?
Yes, on Annie's side in Memphis, you have Lulabelle. Lulabelle is the stern but surprisingly indulgent woman who runs the brothel where Annie seeks refuge.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Mm.
The social irony there is just fascinating. The most effective mother figures in this book are women who society in the 1950s would have deemed completely unfit.
Totally unacceptable by the standards of the day.
I mean, Aunt Irene ran off with the preacher and drinks at the local joint. Lulabelle is literally operating an illegal brothel.
Right.
Yet these are the women providing the fierce, protective, nurturing love that our protagonists actually need to survive.
Tayari Jones is dismantling the binary of the good mom versus the bad mom here.
She really is.
The thematic core of the novel is that blood does not constitute a family. Kinship is forged by the people who hold space for your flaws, who witness the absolute mess of your life and still claim you as their own.
They see the worst of you and stay.
Exactly. The author extends tremendous literary compassion to women who have been warped by poverty and racism, showing how they can still be profound sources of love.
There's this quote from the book that several reviewers pulled out regarding Annie's desperate search for her biological mother. It goes, "Chasing people who don't want to stay is a waste of time on par with trying to put rain back in the sky."
It's such a beautifully sad line.
It perfectly captures the futility of Annie's heartbreaking quest. But according to the critiques, it also speaks to a broader thematic point Jones is making about resistance.
Yes, resistance. Because when we think of resistance in the 1950s and 60s South, our minds usually go to the grand public marches of the civil rights movement.
The sit-ins, the protests.
Right. And those elements are present in Vernice's storyline at Spelman. But Jones uses these unconventional mother figures to highlight the mechanics of quiet resistance.
Quiet resistance, I like that.
In a society structurally designed to break these women down, simply living with dignity in your private life, finding joy, and building chosen family, well, that was a profound form of rebellion.
Just surviving is a rebellion.
Surviving and loving each other against the odds was its own civil rights victory.
That thematic depth really explains why this book is completely blown up. I mean, looking at the Goodreads data, it boasts a massive 4.23 rating with over 66,000 ratings.
That is huge.
That is a seriously high score for literary fiction, which, let's be honest, can sometimes alienate mainstream audiences. Readers are just devouring the prose.
Your writing is undeniably beautiful.
There's another metaphor readers highlight. Getting married on top of secrets is like spraying perfume without washing first.
Oh, that's incredibly vivid.
It is. It's vivid, it's relatable, and it grounds the emotional weight of the story.
The prose is widely celebrated as lush and emotional. However, the data from the sources also reveals a significant divide among readers.
Yeah, it wasn't all glowing praise.
No, even amidst the glowing reviews, a persistent critique surfaces, introducing a complicated conversation about the book's pacing.
Yes, the pacing. Because despite the high rating, multiple reviewers, I mean, even some who ultimately gave it 4 stars, pointed out severe pacing issues.
Your middle section, right.
Yes. The word slog appears frequently in the Goodreads data. Reviewers describe the middle of the book as plodding, arguing the plot seems to just wander in circles while the girls are separated in Atlanta and Memphis.
And there is one specific plot frustration that repeatedly surfaces in the critiques. It centers on Annie's time in Memphis, searching for her mother.
Oh my goodness, this particular detail drove readers absolutely crazy.
It really did.
So Annie spends months agonizing in a bar, just staring at the door, hoping her mother will magically walk in.
Just waiting.
Just waiting. But as one very frustrated reviewer pointed out, a bartender had actually given Annie her mother's physical address months prior.
She had it the whole time.
She had the address. Readers found this mechanically illogical. They were questioning why a character, whose entire motivation is finding her mother, wouldn't just walk to the address immediately.
It frustrated a lot of people.
Additionally, some readers felt the ending was abrupt and argued that because the girls are separated for the majority of the novel, the author relies too heavily on telling us they are best friends through their letters, rather than showing us their bond in real-time action.
This touches on the fundamental tension between plot-driven expectations and the goals of literary fiction.
How do you mean?
Well, often literary fiction sacrifices rapid-fire plotting to focus on deep psychological excavation. It's less concerned with what happens next and more interested in why a character is paralyzed.
Okay.
Regarding the plot hole with Annie and the address, while it might frustrate the pacing, it is deeply rooted in psychological realism.
I understand the psychology, but as a reader, spending 100 pages waiting for a character to walk down the street is undeniably frustrating.
Sure, it tests your patience.
So what does this all mean for the listener? If a book has a frustrating plot hole and a middle that drags, how does it still earn an Oprah endorsement and a 4.23 rating? Like,
Yeah.
is it a failure of the author to make that internal paralysis interesting enough to sustain the middle of a book? Does gorgeous writing excuse a wandering plot, or is this a genuine flaw in the novel's construction?
It's a very valid challenge, and honestly, it's where the reader's personal preference for pacing comes into play. If you approach the novel wanting a mystery to be solved, those 100 pages are a failure.
Just be annoyed.
Exactly. But if you look at the mechanics of trauma we've discussed, Annie has built her entire adolescent identity around the longing for the mother who abandoned her.
It's all she knows.
Right. Actually knocking on that door, facing the real flawed human being who chose to leave her, that is terrifying.
Right.
Sitting in the bar allows Annie to maintain a fantasy. Using the address forces a confrontation with reality that could psychologically destroy her.
So the fear of a second face-to-face rejection is actually more paralyzing than the journey itself.
Precisely.
Wow. Okay, so the slog of the middle section isn't just a wandering plot. It's the agonizing holding pattern of a character terrified to move forward.
Yes, it's self-sabotage rooted in a trauma response.
Because it's easier to live in the familiar pain of longing than to risk the acute pain of being rejected again.
Exactly.
That adds a lot of dimension, even if I do still sympathize with the readers who just wanted the plot to move faster.
The frustration is justified, but the author's choice is deliberate. And to address the critique about telling, rather than showing their friendship because of the distance, we really have to consider the mechanics of an epistolary format in this era.
Right, the letters.
Before cell phones or instant messaging, writing a letter was a deliberate, labored act of love. You had to choose your words, commit them to paper, and wait weeks for a reply.
The waiting must have been agonizing.
The isolation they feel from each other is the point of the middle section. The novel is asking, who are you when the person who knows you best, your cradle friend, is suddenly hundreds of miles away?
You had to figure out who you are alone.
And the letters show us how they curate their lives for each other, hiding the worst of their pain to protect the other.
We've really covered some profound territory with this deep dive.
We certainly have.
I mean, we started in that hot, stifling kitchen in Honeysuckle, Louisiana, witnessing the traumatic origins of these two cradle friends.
The roots of it all.
We unpacked their wildly divergent survival strategies. Vernice navigating the polished, restrictive halls of Spelman College, and Annie throwing herself into the chaotic underbelly of Memphis.
Two completely different worlds.
And through the critiques and the praise, we examined how Tayari Jones redefines the concept of family, showing us that kin is something forged through shared struggle and radical acceptance, not just biological ties.
It's a powerful message.
It really asks a lot of the reader. As you listen to this, consider your own life. Who is your true kin? Who are the people who witness your messy, complicated contradictions, who see the rot in your roots and choose to stay anyway?
It's an essential question about the people who anchor us. But I'll leave you with a final thought to mull over, one that builds on the darker themes of this novel.
Oh, lay it on us.
We've spent a lot of time analyzing how the presence of chosen family shapes us, the Aunt Irenes and the Lula Bells who step in to nurture us.
The ones who show up.
Right. But consider the empty spaces if, as Ken suggests, the people who abandon us leave a void that dictates our future survival strategies. Well, are we ultimately defined more by the people who love us or by the ghosts of the people who left us behind?
Man, it brings us right back to sitting on the edge of that bed in Louisiana, sitting next to an absence.
Full circle.
Are we the saplings reaching for the sun, or are we forever shaped by the poison in the soil? It's definitely something to think about. Until next time.